Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Federal Employee webinar. My name is Mary Catherine Schmidt, and I'm the Content and Engagement Specialist here at Harris Federal Law Firm. Today, we're walking you through some frequently asked questions about all the recent changes to the federal workforce and what they mean for you. Our goal today is to offer clarity around these issues and walk you through your options. To help us dive a little deeper into this topic, I've got two extremely knowledgeable people with me today. Here in the studio are Nick Child, our Director of Client Acquisition, and Kimberly Bear, our Director of Case Processing. Both Nick and Kimberly have years of experience when it comes to dealing with federal benefits, and they're not just here to share their expertise, but to help you understand what your options really are so you can make the best choices for your future. Before we get started, take a second to find the chat box in the corner of your screen. We have people here live answering your questions as they come in, so ask whatever questions you may have and we'll get to them as soon as possible. If you have detailed questions about your specific case that are better answered over the phone, give our office a call to set up a completely free consultation. Now, a quick disclaimer. This webinar is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. This presentation is not establishing an attorney-client relationship and only serves as general educational purposes. Now, let's get started. Nick, Kimberly, take it away.
All right, thanks, Mary Catherine. Excited to be with you all today to talk about all the changes that are happening right now with the federal workforce, the stuff that Doge and Elon Musk and President Trump are implementing. Like it or not, there's a lot changing and it's changing fast. So we wanted to put together a quick webinar to talk about a lot of the questions that we've been getting recently and to give you guys a little bit more information. Before we get started, though, I'm joined by Kimberly Bear, who is our Director of Case Processing here, and I think there's probably nobody better to hear from when it comes to these topics. So, Kimberly, excited to do this.
Thanks, Nick. I'm really excited to cover some of these really important questions that we've been getting here recently.
So, I think the best place for us to start as you look at today's topics is looking over job security. And the workforce reductions, because that's where all of this really starts. That's the biggest goal, I think, of the new administration is how are they going to reduce the workforce, and then what does that mean for federal employees that might be happening to. So a RIF or a reduction in force is really the first place we need to start. So Kimberly, I think a lot of people are thinking about, all right, if this happens to me, how will I know if I'm going to be affected or not?
Yeah, that's a very valid concern. So one thing to keep in mind is that agencies have to follow some very strict guidelines when conducting the RIF. You'll get a formal notice at least 60 days in advance if your position is being eliminated or moved, if you don't have enough retention rights compared to others, or if you haven't accepted another offer like a VERA or reassignment. And also, if you're in a competitive service position, your years of service, tenure, and performance ratings all impact whether you're laid off or reassigned.
Okay, so obviously these things do have rules around them and how they can be implemented, but we also are hearing a lot of people worried about getting essentially laid off, right, or fired from their position. And I think more stuff like that is going to come. I don't think this deferred resignation is the only thing that's going to happen. I think this is the first big move, and then they will make other moves as they move forward. So if someone finds themselves in that situation where it's possible that they get fired or laid off, right, what does that mean for their years of service under FERS?
So it doesn't immediately affect your years of service under FERS. For the most part, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to completely lose those years of service. You can lose them for other reasons like committing serious federal crimes and things like that. But if you're fired, even if you're denied disability retirement, you can get those years of service with a deferred retirement at your regular retirement age.
So if something like this does happen to you, don't panic. There, you do have options. We would be happy to talk to you more about them as those things come up. But that's really the first place for us to start is what if this happens? And as we know, the first place that they've offered any kind of separation from service or leaving your employment is this deferred resignation option, which a lot of people have taken. A lot of people looked at it as like, hey, I've been waiting for something like this to move on. A lot of people have stuff going on in their lives, and this is a better option for them. But we have been getting some questions about deferred resignation, and honestly, things have been changing week to week. We've been getting updates, changes to the deadline, what federal employees can expect with it. And so let's go through a couple of the questions that we've gotten regarding deferred resignation. So let's say someone accepts it, which we know a lot of people have. Can they change their mind and rescind that resignation?
So what that means, Nick, is the OPM has said that you can request your application be rescinded, but that it's going to be up to your agency to decide if they're going to accept that request or not.
Yeah, and I think what we've also heard too is that they're going to be moving very quickly to process these. So a lot of times there's no guarantee that you could rescind. There's no defined timeline or anything like that. So if this is a decision that you want to rescind, I would move as quickly as possible to do that. So the next piece of this, when it comes to deferred resignation, is people are thinking about the separation date, because the separation date comes into play with a lot of different things in calculating, for instance, federal disability retirement, right? And so what does that separation date look like when it comes to deferred resignation?
If you've accepted the deferred resignation, that does not mean that you are separated from the agency right now. This means that likely you're going to be placed on administrative leave until September 30th. Therefore, the date of your separation is not going to be until September.
So with the separation date, and why that's so critical to understand, is if you did take a deferred resignation, but something like disability retirement came up for you and you're like, hey, I want to apply for that benefit, good news, you still can, but that date of separation becomes important because you have a 1 year, very strict deadline to apply for this benefit. So make sure you know when that date of separation is, and that if you do want disability retirement, that you apply for it within that 1 year deadline. So with that being said, let's move into the next topic, which is disability retirement. This is the main thing that we help people with here, and this is why we're talking about it. Federal disability retirement is an option for those that are impacted by medical conditions while they're employed with the federal government, and it can help them to essentially retire early. And so a lot of people are asking us questions, with the deferred resignation and other things happening, what it's going to look like. So one of the biggest ones, Kimberly, is can I still apply for federal disability retirement if my position is eliminated due to a reduction in force?
Yeah, so your position being eliminated due to a reduction in force, due to you taking that deferred resignation, you still are eligible to apply for the federal disability retirement benefit, just so long as you do apply before that 1 year deadline. It does take a significant amount of time to gather all of the documents that are required to qualify you for disability retirement, so it is important to not wait until your deadline and get that information submitted to OPM.
Yeah, so there's good news that they can still do it. But one of the other things that comes up that's slightly different is VERA's, voluntary early retirement, and that's an option that some people may take. So what does that look like, when it comes to federal disability retirement? Because that's an early retirement option. Can they still get disability retirement if they take that?
So this is a very important question that doesn't have a direct yes or no answer. It is sometimes possible to take a VERA and then take a federal disability retirement, but this completely depends on your offer. Some VERA offers allow you to apply for federal disability retirement. However, some VERA offers explicitly state that you cannot move forward with federal disability retirement.
Is that agency-based? How do they make that determination?
From what we've seen, the VERA offers tend to vary agency by agency, but also within an agency, those offers can vary. Most positions are going to have the same offer, but different positions within one agency can vary. So you just need to make sure to look very closely at your VERA offer before accepting or declining to determine what options you have and make the best decision of if VERA is right for you or if federal disability might be right for you.
Yeah, because for those people that federal disability retirement is an option, it has some benefits that might be better in their situation. Let me talk about them real quick, so for people that don't know, so they can make an educated decision on what they're going to do. So federal disability retirement offers 4 main benefits. It offers a monthly annuity until you're the age of 62, in which it will recalculate to regular retirement. While you're on the benefit, you can keep your health and life insurance through the federal government. You will continue to accrue credible years of service. That's a really important one, and that's where it is different from VERA and might make more sense for some people. And then for those that can keep working, they can go work in the private sector and earn up to 80% of what the position they're retiring from is currently making. So that's the federal disability benefit. We have lots of webinars that go, way deeper into that, but I wanted to give a high level view of it so that you could see it in relation to a VERA. Okay, so VERA allows you to immediately start receiving that annuity, like an early retirement, but it also means that you won't gain those credible years of service that you would on disability retirement. And so ultimately, that's going to lower your long-term payments. Just like disability, you can keep your health and life insurance, but only if you've been enrolled for 5 consecutive years and retire without a break in service. And then in rare cases, an agency can request a waiver, but if you don't qualify, you'll need to find private health or life insurance. So the difference I want you to see is, and we know that not everybody can get approved for disability retirement, but for those that can, it is going to provide you more income long-term than taking a VERA right now. So that's an important distinction to know, because we ultimately don't want you to miss out on money that is there for you, that you've worked hard for. And that's why I would recommend, calling our office and doing a consultation so that you can see what all the different paths are for you and what is going to be the best for you and your family and your future, okay? So with all of that, there's lots of people leaving the federal workforce, whether that's through deferred resignation, people that are deciding to retire. We're seeing an uptick in disability retirement applications. And we know that to some extent this is going to affect processing times at the OPM. We don't have any news directly to say what that backlog looks like or how long things are going to take, but we've been doing this for over 20 years now and have seen at different times things like this affect it. So Kimberly, as the person in charge of this department at our office, how do you see the process and or timeline being affected going forward?
So right now, nothing in the process of filing for federal disability retirement or how they make their decisions and determinations has changed. However, we are seeing an impact on the timeline for how long it takes to receive a decision from the OPM. Because of the widespread concerns over job security, we're seeing a huge increase in applications. In fact, the number of applications at OPM has increased by 68% in January alone. This does mean that it could take a lot longer for your application to be processed. So if you're thinking about retiring, if you want to get your disability retirement started, now's probably the best time to start so you can get the relief you need sooner.
Yeah, what I've been telling people as I've talked to them is, if this is something you want to do, let's get started now, because we don't want you to get pushed to the back of that line. We know this is a long process, and OPM has notoriously taken their time to process a lot of these, and we just don't want people to get delayed if this is something that they need immediately. So the other big question that people are having, and this is a very valid one with so many things changing, is could the new administration or Congress just decide to take federal disability retirement away?
It's very unlikely that federal disability retirement would be removed completely. It is a benefit that is already built into your FERS retirement. The current administration is looking to reduce the size of the federal workforce, so in many ways, people getting approved for the federal disability retirement could actually work in their favor.
Yeah, and there's things that they're always talking about changing. They've been talking about for a long time, like changing the high 3 to the high 5 average, other things like that. But this is a benefit that is written into the law under FERS, right? So it's not something they can just take away overnight. This is something that you've been working towards and is a part of your package. So we would anticipate that if something was to change, it would be for future federal employees, or folks would be grandfathered in some way. Yeah, so that's a little bit more about disability retirement and how these changes are affecting it or could affect it. And like I said, this is in no way a comprehensive look at disability retirement or the changes to it. And that's why I always recommend for people to get on a call with us. Those are free to do a consultation, so that you can really know your options and ask questions about your specific situation. All right. So let's move on real quick and talk a little bit more about some of these calculations and how these changes might affect pensions and or COLAs in the future. So Kimberly, if someone chooses to leave federal service early, when will they be able to access their FERS pension?
It all depends on why you're leaving and your years of service. It really comes down to 3 main scenarios. The first one being discontinued service retirement. So if you're part of the reduction in force, or you take a VERA and you have at least 20 years of service and are the age 50, or have 25 years of service at any age, you can start your pension immediately. The second scenario being deferred resignation. If you resign before meeting retirement eligibility, you won't get an immediate pension. Instead, you can apply for a deferred first pension, but you won't receive payments until at least age 60 with 20 or more years of service, or age 62 with at least 5 years of service. And the third one being the MRA plus 10 retirement. If you meet the minimum retirement age, which is MRA, but have fewer than 20 years of service, you can start your pension early, but with a permanent reduction. This reduction is 5% per year for every year that you are under the age of 62.
Yeah, so hopefully that clarifies what your regular pension would look like if you were to take one of these early options, or if you were separated early, and how those might impact you into the future. Another thing that people need to consider is cost of living adjustments if they take one of these options. So, Kimberly, will they still get those if they decide to take an early retirement?
You will not receive a cost of living adjustment unless you retire due to a disability. Regular FERS retirees, including those who take VERA, do not get COLAs until the age of 62. If you resign early and defer your pension, you won't get COLAs until you start receiving those benefits. But if you separate under a federal disability retirement, you will start receiving COLAs after the first year.
And that's important to remember and to know. And for people that are thinking about disability retirement, it's just one more thing to add to the math and how that's going to impact you long term. So, take time to consider those things and calculate them. I know that these options can seem quick and like they're the right options for you, but take your time, figure out what's best for you, and if you need help with that, we'd love to talk to you about it more and what that looks like. Okay, so the last one that people need to be aware of is health and life insurance after separation. And, there's people that, one, are going to be very expensive to insure. I mean, health insurance is going up every year, so it's important to think about that. And there's a lot of folks, especially if you have health issues or disabilities, where life insurance is not an option. You're actually uninsurable. So knowing your options here after you separate from federal employment are important to factor in, because you don't want to lose these important benefits. So Kimberly, resigning early, how is that going to impact their federal employee health benefits?
If you were separated under the deferred resignation, it is highly unlikely that you will be able to continue your health benefits into retirement. The federal employees' health benefits is only available to retirees who meet the 5-year rules and separate under the FERS retirement, including disability retirement, the VERA retirement, or discontinued service retirement. If you resign with the deferred resignation or otherwise, your federal employee health benefits end at separation. You might be eligible for the temporary continuation of coverage for up to 18 months, but you do have to pay the full cost plus a 2% fee, and it's very expensive for most federal employees.
Okay, so that's health insurance. Let's talk real quick about FEGLI, or Federal Employee Group Life Insurance.
Similarly, with the federal group life insurance, they end at separation unless you convert it to a private policy within 31 days. If you retire under FERS, the VERA, the reduction in force, or regular retirement, you can keep a reduced FEGLI benefit if you've had coverage for at least 5 years and retire with an immediate annuity. If you take a deferred resignation, FEGLI ends at separation unless you convert it, but private policies cost more since they are not subsidized. One thing to remember, if you defer your pension, you cannot re-enroll in FEGLI later when your pension starts.
Okay, so as we've been talking here, this is a lot to take in. There's a lot of information here. And like I said, this is all in the context of your benefits, specifically disability retirement. That's what we're trying to put it in context of here, because again, that's what we help people with. But we can talk to you about all of these things that are going on. That's why I would recommend giving our office a call, scheduling a free consultation, and we'll look at all those options with you, let them know how they're going to impact you, because ultimately we don't want you to miss out on benefits that are there for you. You've worked hard for them, you've paid into them, and you need to take advantage of them. And so give us a call. Let's figure that out. And there's no obligation to hire our firm or anything from those, but what we want you to do is be able to make the best decision for you. I always tell people, we've been doing this for 20 years. We've helped over 10,000 federal employees now, and we have a lot of experience in this and have seen how these things change throughout the years and at every agency. So we would love to talk to you. Kimberly, thanks for all the information. Like I said, Kimberly is the person that you want to hear about all of this from. She is in this stuff every day, walking clients through these conversations and decisions. So thanks again for being here, Kimberly.
Thanks, Nick, for helping me clarify some of these very important questions that all of our clients and potential clients have today.
Yeah, so with that, I think we'll leave the webinar open for a few minutes to answer any questions that you might have. And then after that, if you have anything else, feel free to reach out to our office. Mary Catherine, I'm going to hand it back over to you. Thanks.
Thanks for joining in on this webinar today. This was a lot of information, so like Nick mentioned, we're going to leave the chat open for your questions. If you have specific questions about your situation, or if we didn't get to fully answer your question today, give our office a call to set up a free consultation. We have specialists who are here to talk through all the details of your case and give you the best direction possible moving forward. You'll be receiving a replay of this webinar in your email in a little while, but we also have all of our webinars up on our YouTube channel. As a reminder, we have tons of videos and resources on YouTube and our website, so don't forget to check out the rest of our content as well. We're excited to serve you, and we appreciate you joining us today.